What is up everyone, Movie back again with another video, and the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X is finally here. But let's not just forget a brilliant generation that we have just had, and that is still going. Here is my top 10 games of the 8th generation. Let's do this. Okay, so before I get into the top 10, let me just state that this is a personal list. This is my top 10 games, because if I do the top 10 games of the generation, you've probably seen that video before, or that list, because they are mostly the same. So this is a personal list. Now I do have some of the best AAA games in here, but there might be one or two surprises as well. Now I have included Nintendo Switch games because did come out at the same time as these consoles, and that is probably going to go on a little bit longer than the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, because Nintendo seem to bring their console out a year or two later, don't they? But I am including it here, and I did want to include The Last of Us Remastered for the PlayStation 4. However, that is mainly a PlayStation 3 game, so you're not going to see games that are remastered, you know, for this console that appeared on another console. However, you might see full-blown remakes, because to me, that is a totally different game. And lastly, there are some games on here that I haven't played, you know, in this generation, like Persona 5. I've never gotten around to that, and I've always wanted to. So for an example there, if you don't see your favourite games on this list or in the honourable mentions, it might be because I haven't played them, or they just didn't appeal to me. So let's just get on with some honourable mentions before I get into the main top 10. Okay, for the honourable mentions, I do have Resident Evil 2. Like I said, a full-blown remake is allowed in this list. And you can tell this isn't a remaster. It's from the ground up. It looks like a totally brand new game. And it was a fantastic return to form for Capcom. You know, I just loved Resident Evil 2. It was great going back to its roots, but giving us a fresh new experience at the same time. Just didn't quite make the list, even though I wanted it to. The Witcher 3 is another one in the honourable mentions that might be in the top 3 on most people's list. I had a great time with this game. It was just towards the end of the campaign. It started feeling a little bit stale for me. However, I did go beyond the campaign and do all the side stuff and everything. I put a lot of hours into that, but I did love The Witcher 3. Just didn't quite make my personal list. Metal Gear Solid 5 is another one that if it had a better second act, then I probably would have put it in this list, because I loved every second I had with Metal Gear Solid 5. It was just weird that Kojima left Konami, and it didn't quite materialise into the game that he wanted. But if it wasn't for that, it might have made this list. I thought it was a great game and a great entry into the series. We also have Breath of the Wild. Now, some people, like The Witcher 3, would have this in their top 3. This might make most people's number 1, to be honest, but just didn't hit me as much as it did to some people. I did really enjoy it. It was a fantastic game, a great experience. Just didn't hit me as much as it did to some people, and I'm not a massive Zelda fan like some people, but I do enjoy the games for what they are. But I just enjoyed these top 10 games more than it. I'm not gonna lie. Mario & Rabbids was one that could have been a bit of an underdog. I had such a good time with this. It was a real surprise, and quite a budget game. You know, it was only going for like half the price of AAA games, and I had such a good time with it. It was a good tactical puzzle type game, and I highly recommend that you play it if you've got a Nintendo Switch, because it's one of the best games on there. Spider-Man is another one from PlayStation 4. Great superhero adventure. You know, it was great going into Peter Parker's life and Spider-Man at the same time. Learning all these moves and leveling up Spider-Man, getting all these suits and stuff. I had such a good time with it. And, you know, towards the end of the game, you see most of the villains from the comics, and that was a nice little touch there, but just didn't quite make top 10 because it's an honorable mention, obviously. Red Dead Redemption 2 is another one. I can appreciate how masterful this game being made was, how good it looked. You know, it was just the horse riding for me. Tapping A all the time was a real inconvenience in the end, and for such a long game to keep doing that after like 100 hours, yeah. I did love Arthur Morgan though, and it was a great story. Fallout 4 is another one. Fallout 3 is one of the best games I have ever played in my life. And Fallout 4 was so good, it was just like it, but I just stopped playing it for some reason after about 60 hours or something. I don't know why. I would love to go back to it, and maybe if it did, it would make this top 10. You know, this list could change. I'm not going to just, you know, push aside the 8th gen, because I like to revisit games as well. But Fallout 4, maybe they'll bring a remaster out or something for the new consoles. I'm sure they might actually. And the last one is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Just didn't quite make the list, but it's a solid adventure game, and I can't wait for the new Uncharted film. Nathan Drake is such a good character. I really enjoyed Uncharted 4. One of the best in the series, but there are my honourable mentions. Sorry if they didn't make the top 10, but I will give my reasons why these top 10s have made it. So let's just get in to number 10. Number 10 is going to be The Last of Us Part 2. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this game before its release and after its release, to be honest. I was one of them people who's seen the leaks and I was a bit like, oh, I don't know about this. But you know what? I always just go into a game and try and enjoy it. And I did. I got over it, you know, and it was a big risk. And I sort of have to, you know, give it to Naughty Dog for taking that risk. However, it did backfire on them a little bit with a lot of people. But what unfolded throughout this story, and you know, some of the set pieces that you go on, and what happens towards the end and stuff, I had a pretty solid experience with this. I thought it was a great story, to be honest. Admittedly, not as good as the first game. The first game is a masterpiece, and this is borderline masterpiece. It just got a few story aspects wrong, but I still enjoyed my time with it. You know, the gameplay and the graphics, how this game looks, has to be applauded. It's an achievement in gaming, it really, really is. And you know, Naughty Dog go to every single detail, don't they? And you can tell when you're playing this game, you're going through some moments here that you'll never see again. The split seconds, but the detail that's gone into it is just absolutely outstanding. So yeah, and I'm gonna be in one of these minority people here who actually preferred taking on this different protagonist. Sorry to ruin it for everyone. I mean, I hope I'm not ruining it there. It is widely known now that there is two people you play as in this game, and I think I actually prefer this other character. So yeah, shoot me. But I was one of them people who preferred it, and yeah, second half of the game for me was the better half of the game. But overall, a great game. Deserves its place in the top 10 and in most people's top 10. I think it will get Game of the Year. However, it's not my Game of the Year personally, as you'll see as the list goes on, but a pretty solid experience overall. The Last of Us 2 is number 10. Number 9 is going to be Cuphead. Wow, talk about games looking good. This one looks amazing. It's hard to actually believe that you're playing this game at times. It's all in a 1930s animated cartoon style, and the colour just explodes out of the screen when you're playing Cuphead. You know, it's been well renowned for this game being a very hard experience as well. However, that just adds to it to me because it makes the game more addictive. The levels are only like a minute or two short. However, you get a little bit further and it tells you at the end when you die how close you are to the end, and it makes you just want to try it again and get better each time. It's so addictive. My family aren't gamers at all, and I bought this on a Nintendo Switch, and they could see that I was really trying to do this level for days. And they all took turns and tried to do it themselves, and we kept passing the Nintendo Switch around to all try and do this level, and you know, everyone was getting a little bit addicted there. So I do think the hardness and difficulty in this game is one of its most positive aspects, and I'm not one of them who loves hard games, so yeah, pretty, you know, good decision there. I can't wait for the Cuphead show on Netflix as well, actually, because when I was playing this game, it made me want to just go and watch some of them 1930s cartoons on YouTube and stuff. But it's available on all formats now, and I highly recommend that you play this. It's got excellent level design, some brilliant boss fights, and like I said, looks absolutely fantastic. You need to see these graphics for yourself to believe what you're playing. So yeah, number 9 is Cuphead. Number 8 is going to be Doom. Now, this was kind of a surprise for me because we've got so many first-person shooters on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 that I just thought it was going to be another one of them. Not that I don't like them or anything, I love them. But I just didn't know if this was going to bring anything new to the table. I just thought they were going to slap the name Doom on it. But oh my god, this redefined shooters for me. What it was so fast-paced. Now, when you go into a room full of enemies in this game, just so many flying at you at one time. that you've really just got to take notice and be as quick as you can, shooting all these enemies, you know, jumping out the way, getting your shots away, moving on, dashing away, getting your shots away. And I know I'm talking fast, but that's how the room plays out. And it's one of the best aspects of the game, because when you get that checkpoint, you have your breather and you think, wow, I can finally just take a breath here and I'll move on to the next bit before it all kicks off again. So I just love doing the gore in this game. If you like violence and blood and stuff, it's all here. I like it when enemies kind of flash and you can do your melee move by ripping the heads off and stuff, just effortlessly with the the R3 button pushed in. So yeah, Doom is one of the best first-person shooters I have ever played, in all honesty. And Doom Eternal was a solid sequel. I just thought Doom was that little bit more better balance, but both are great games. Fantastic shooters. So yeah, Doom is going to be number 8. A surprise for me, but a brilliant experience. And you know what? I'm not a big multiplayer person, but I had a good time with the multiplayer here as well. Not very often I go into multiplayer, but this had some decent, online shooting added on into this game. So number 8 is Doom. Number 7 is going to be Forza Horizon 3. Now, I know there's a Forza Horizon 4 out there, which is a brilliant game in itself. It's just the location of Australia and this one that edges it for me. The sun-soaked streets, driving around, racing around all these beautiful tracks in these beautiful locations. It's a joy to behold, and you've got so much variety of cars here that you can just upgrade, paint however you want. There's people online who've done custom paint jobs that you can download and stuff. There's so many collectibles, there's so many races to take on. It's just endless fun for a racing game in this big open world environment, and I just love it. And you know what? It looks amazing, especially on the Xbox One X. It's one of the best looking games I have ever played, and I'm even going to go on to say it might be the best racing game I've ever played. It's up there with Burnout Takedown for me. If I'd done a top 10, I would really struggle which one to put on. And it's one of the best things that the Microsoft have going for it. One of the best exclusives. And I kind of wish PlayStation could rival it a little bit with a racing game. I know Gran Turismo is coming soon, so hopefully they can. And it'll push Sony to get a great racing game out there. But Forza Horizon 3 is the king of racing games this generation for me, and deserves its spot on this top 10 at number 7. Number 6 is going to be another surprise for me, and that is Ratchet Clank on the PlayStation 4. Now, I do love a good platformer, I'm not going to lie, but I didn't realise how good this game was going to be until I played it. I'd never played a Ratchet Clank game before. This was my first one, and I think it's a reimagining of the first one on the PlayStation 2. Don't quote me on that, but it felt very much like a game that belonged to this generation, and there were so many wonderfully designed levels. Everything was so colourful. It felt like I was in a Disney Pixar movie at times. And not only that, there's some wonderfully designed weapons as well that you can keep upgrading. They're very out there weapons. They're not your typical machine guns or whatever. They've got a creative side to them, and that was just part of the enjoyment for me. Ratchet & Clank are really great characters. And I just can't wait now for Ratchet & Clank on the PlayStation 5. That's going to be called Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's probably my most anticipated game that's been announced for the PlayStation 5 right now, I'm not going to lie, all because of this game. And I highly advise this to anyone who just wants to play something a little bit more simple or nothing too much to think about and just have a good time. Ratchet & Clank is the way to go. So you can get it really cheap now as well, or if you're on PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation 5, it's there, ready for you to play. So, what are you waiting for? Ratchet & Clank is number 6. Number 5 is going to be Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, I've got an unpopular opinion to admit here. I think I might prefer these newer Tomb Raider games to Uncharted. Nothing taken away from Uncharted. I know you've probably turned the video off there, but I'm not gonna lie, this is the God honest truth. I just love these Tomb Raider games, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, what I loved about it was getting a helpless Lara and upgrading her character into a total badass. Now, Uncharted doesn't really allow you to do that. However, this game, it's great just watching Lara grow and take responsibility. And they've all got great little stories along with them. They all look amazing. The gameplay is spot on. And this is everything you want in an adventure game. It's absolutely solid. And I don't really have too many complaints with it at all. I've finished the game a couple of times now. And I love Tomb Raider Definitive Edition as well. That did come out on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. However, that was mainly on the 360 and PlayStation 3. However, I do prefer this second installment a little bit more. They've tried to reinvent Lara a couple of times with like Tomb Raider Legend and Underworld and stuff. And I get they are great games, but this is the best it's been since the 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 1. Lara's back, and I can't wait for them to do more of these. Crystal Dynamics done just a superb job with this Rise of the Tomb Raider and the one before it. So I have not admittedly played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and I've been meaning to for the longest time because I love this one so much. So I will get round to that eventually. Like I said, 8th gen is not dead to me whatsoever, and I will probably get it and play it backwards compatible on my PlayStation 5 soon because I've been meaning to. But Rise of the Tomb Raider, if Shadow is half as good as this, then I'm in for the surprise because I don't really have anything bad to say about Rise of the Tomb Raider. I loved every second of it. Play it. Number 5 is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Number 4 is going to be a little bit of a shock for this list that probably no one's seen coming unless you know me personally or remembered that I mentioned it, and that is The Evil Within 2. Now, I know Resident Evil is the big horror franchise out there, and rightly so, it deserves to be. It's had so many great games, and it's been going for 20 odd years. So rightly so, Resident Evil, it's great, I love it. But for this generation, my favourite horror survival game was The Evil Within 2, and it was kind of like, shall I put The Evil Within 1 in there because that's a great game as well. However, it's the major graphical upgrade that I seen on the Xbox One X with this one compared to the first. And just not taking anything away from the first game, that's brilliant as well. I highly advise you to play it. But this one, it was just the graphical upgrade for me. And another thing, they had a mini open world in this where you could explore these little villages and these little tiny towns, and they were quite terrifying to explore as well. But it was good going around, finding all these little scarce ammo that you really need, and these little collectibles. Had a great little story. The creature design is spot on. Some brilliant boss battles. I just cannot recommend this game enough. It's the most underrated game of the generation, and maybe one of the most underrated games of all time because no one talks about this when they should. Can't praise it enough. If you have not played The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2 and you like survival horror, please, after you watch this video, go and give them a go because I just can't praise them enough. Yeah, underrated one, bit of a shock, but number 4 is The Evil Within 2, and I have no regrets putting that on there whatsoever. Number 3 is another game that would be very, very high on people's lists, and rightly so, and it is made my top 3, and that is God of War. I had never played a God of War game before, I'm not gonna lie, and I went into this not knowing what to expect. And after seeing its amazing intro to its unbelievable end, I was simply blown away with every second of this game that I played. It was absolutely phenomenal. Honestly, guys, this is a masterpiece. It really is. I mean, I just love taking control of Kratos. I'd never seen a character quite like him before. He's so miserable and angry all the time, but that's part of the charm of the game. Like, he's always telling his son off and stuff. His son comes along for the ride, and you can control him with arrows and stuff at times, which is a good little game dynamic. And sometimes, ghosts will pop up and tell you which way to go, and he'll go, "We do not need any help from you, spirit." And I used to laugh all the time. He just wants to do his thing and that's it. And he won't listen to his son or anything, even though they're right sometimes. And he's a great character. But what really makes this game shine is the gameplay. I mean, whether you're wielding that axe or throwing them chains of Olympus everywhere, it never gets old, no matter what. From my first axe swing to my last, it just felt great every time. I just cannot wait for the next one. I mean, when Sony announced that at their State of Play, at the very end, I was just like, yeah, there's my reason to get a PlayStation 5 right there. I just can't praise it enough, honestly. And some people might think, oh, he's only put a third, it deserves first, but third is still an unreal position. Yeah, nothing else to say apart from play this game if you haven't already, because you are simply missing out. Number 3 is God of War. Number 2 is going to be Super Mario Odyssey. Now, it's hard to describe the feeling I got when I first played this game at 30 years old. You know, I put my Nintendo Switch on, I set it all up. It was the first game I got with it, and I felt a bit of magic that I hadn't felt since I was 12 years old. You know when you get a brand new game when you're a kid for your birthday or Christmas or something, and you're just playing it non-stop without a care in the world? Well, that's what I felt like playing this. I just knew I was playing something like I'd never played before. I was having so much fun with it. You know, it just felt like a game should feel like. This was what gaming used to feel like to me. It felt like this, and I didn't think it was possible because I'd lost that little feeling, but Mario Odyssey gave it all back to me. Nintendo done such a good job on this. It's so well polished. The game looks amazing. It's only a 15-hour campaign, but you can make this hundreds of hours long by searching for all the little moons and stuff. Everything about it is just magical. It's a solid 10 out of 10 game, and I don't think there's many games I would give a 10 to, but this is definitely up there. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and my favourite Mario game that I've ever played, to be honest, or my favourite 3D Mario anyway. Just everything about it, I don't have a bad thing to say about it. Throwing your hat at these enemies and turning into them, or throwing your hat at obstacles, and you know, getting through these little puzzles by throwing your hat at them. It always felt great to just throw it. Even like the 1000th time I threw it, it was great, and I got great levels like New Donk City and stuff. Can't praise it enough. The best game on a Nintendo Switch for me. Number 2 is Super Mario Odyssey. Okay, we are here at number 1, and number 1 is going to be the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Wow. What an experience this was. When I first seen this trailer at E3 back in 2014, I believe, I couldn't quite believe my eyes. I didn't think they were ever going to do it, really. They'd always hinted at it, but I never actually thought that in my lifetime it was going to come. And it did. And as it was nearing, you know, release date, and I was getting so excited, you know. I hardly pre-order games, but I pre-ordered the shit out of this. And you know, as the day neared, I was getting more and more excited, and then it got delayed a month, and I was like, oh no, but then I finally got it, and you know when you look forward to something so much and it can actually be a disappointment. Well, this actually exceeded my expectations. I thought it might be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good. The first hour of this game is the best opening to a game I have ever played in my life, and it didn't stop there. Everything about it was just tuned to perfection for me. I wouldn't change a damn thing about it. Visiting all these locations that I used to love on the PlayStation 1 25 years later on the remake, but much bigger, and all these characters with this personality and voice acting. Wow, I just couldn't believe it. I loved every second of it. I know a few people could finish this in about 40 hours. It took me more like 70 because I explored every single corner. I didn't rush it. I just wanted to take my time and have the experience of my life, and it did. And the only bad thing was it ended. But at least we're getting more at some point. There is going to be a part 2 coming, and I can't wait to just delve into that again and visit all these new locations. I'm definitely going to finish this game again and get every trophy. I love it to death. And you know what? My favourite game of all time is Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1, like I said. But when this is complete, I think it might be this, because I just loved it. I loved every second of it, and when this is fully done, it will be a genuine achievement in gaming. Not just a masterpiece, but an achievement. So, number 1 is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this top 10 list. Sorry if your favourite game didn't make it, but this is a personal list. I had a long think about this, and it was pretty hard to come up with, but I think it's a pretty decent list from all the games that I've played. What are your top 10 games at the 8th gen? Leave it down below and I will reply to every single one of you, I promise. If you want to subscribe, it's up to yourself. Got a lot more videos coming. Lots more top 10s. I hardly do gaming videos on this, but I do the odd one or two if you're a gamer. So take it all easy, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.